This week on Hermitcraft. Diggy diggy hole indeed. Welcome to the Hermitcraft Recap. My name is Pixel Riffs, our writer is LoyXP, and we were genuinely joking about a bunch of hermits with pickaxes being the survival equivalent of World Edit, but now, watching Scar's video, we can't find a spot where the spheroid looks unfinished. Beyond that, Scar has already shaped out the roots of the tree of life he wants to build in the center. Seemingly the only thing keeping him at bay is the fact that acacia wood is not the easiest to farm, and that a certain someone hasn't been paying him the leaf blocks he needs for tree building. But we'll get to that in the NHO part of the recap. For now, let's take a look at all the events and mishaps that occurred on the Hermitcraft server this week. Even the pranks on the server are massive, as Joe Hills returns from a trip to find a giant pig standing on top of his super Rubik's Cube staring into the sunset.
Wow. I don't even know where to start on this.
It turns out Cubfan decided that Red Sky Bay needed a longer name, and adding of pigs seems to fit the bill. Well, at least Joe gets to flex his historian muscles. And while he could have just renamed it into Big Pig Bay and saved himself a cleanup, at least the pig's helmet is made out of real iron blocks. It actually pays well to be pranked by the guy with the biggest iron farm on the server.
Cubfan has put us in the business of stealing pig clothing.
Over at his base, Cub creates a jumbo-sized sugarcane farm, which once again is a sugarcane pillar, sugarcane brick wall, and a super advanced system of shulker box delivery, which once again looks awesome, works well, and no one except himself would settle on using it.
There we go, that's what I'm talking about. Alright, sweet.
Cub is not the only one looking for sugar this week, as TFC expands the output of his sugarcane farm and introduces other tradable crops like pumpkins and melons. The pumpkins actually come in handy later because he teams up with Biffa, Wells Knight and Azuma to fight the dragon, and the Endermen are getting feisty. But not as feisty as the End Crystals, apparently.
The Ender Dragon can make them mad.
Oh, what?
A very different dragon fight occurs once Rendog decides not to accept the elytra Iskall donated to him and fights the dragon himself, still, mind you, using the tools and armor from Iskall's care package. This still changes nothing in their relationship, and Ren is as not ready for marriage as always.
Will you now marry me, by the way? Will you now marry me?
Hit my buddy kid.
Okay.
And, no, I won't marry you, sorry. Bye.
Finally, the dragon gets its last thrashing for the week when Zedaf and Tango decide to take a shot at this whole flying thing. They dispatch the dragon, raiding an end city for good measure, and by their next livestream they're using elytra to transport sheep by air. Hermitcraft space program never looked so promising.
T-3.
You look like a rocket ship right now. You're just all rigid like...
1.
Ah! Yes, it worked!
Oh my goodness!
Oh my god! How did that work?
Jevin joins in on the fun too, cheesing a wither boss and conquering an ocean monument while he's at it. He clears it out on the inside too and has further plans for it. But he might change his mind about that if he happens to watch Mumbo Jumbo, because this week's episodes of our favourite spoon demonstrate perfectly why you might not want to start draining an ocean monument perimeter. While the flying machines Mumbo has set up for the occasion seem to do the job, he still has to dig out a massive amount of sand, devastating the community desert quarry, and even then the contraption manages to break itself somehow. All in all, a bit of an unlucky week to be building octavoids. Over at the other ocean temple, Impulse SV seems to be having better luck. After a lot of grinding to get the perimeter drained, Impulse builds himself a deep fryer for all those laserfish. After getting a bit of tweaking done, it's getting pretty respectable drop rates, and before long he's hooking up the server with sea lanterns, starting with Zedaf, who in turn hooks Impulse up with questionable poetry.
U is for umbrella, Ella Ella. Ella's for life, what you lose if you don't give me the lanterns.
And now that we've used the word questionable, to greet and potentially scare away passing ships, Zombie Cleo raises 2 giant black obelisks as a sort of gateway into her haven and connects them on top with floaty rainbowy glass panels. Iskall, in his own special world of insanity, decides to turn his villager breeder into a giant Richard the Villager head staring into his soul, engineers a creeper dark box farm which ends up bringing in more gunpowder than the witch farm would, and gets himself slaughtered by magma cubes because that's what you get for making fun of Impulse SV.
No. Oh, no. Oh, you! No, you didn't!
Midway into developing and digging out his passive mob farm, Azuma decides to obtain every single colour of sheephead, which results in lots of dying and lots of dying. To die more efficiently, X brings a professional axe murderer to his base from XB's mansion.
It kind of looks like he's showing off his moves. I've been observing this guy, but also it kind of looks like he's dancing, you know, he's wiggling his arm around. He's doing little spins as well.
XB, meanwhile, has his own uses for Vindicators, namely having them fight snow golems for his entertainment in a redesigned boxing ring. The rest of the building is taking shape too. After adding a waterscape to the outside, XB hollows out half the mansion's foundation, deciding against turning it into a smiley face, and instead opting for archways and a dock. Python GB's underground base gets the promised 5 beacons set up, along with a stylish central column and a spiral staircase leading to the surface. And a dozen episodes in, Stress Monster finally starts constructing the promised spooky part of her swamplands, starting with the very ground part that it will stand on. Everyone said she was daft to build in the swamp, but she built it all the same, just to show them. And now once again we return to everyone's favourite jungle biome. Cue the music! Wells Knight kicks off the week's shenanigans by gifting B-Dubs an Elytra, which B-Dubs takes for a test drive, only to rip it off mid-flight and throw it in the water below. That'll show them.
He comes over here. I've got a war going on, okay? I've got a pure all-out war.
Biffa is the next hermit to extend the shaky hand of truce, meeting up with Doc and B-Dubs so he can critique their use of AFK fishing farms. Little does he know that he is being lured into a trap. About 7 traps, actually, because Doc has been getting redstone happy this week. After bringing 3 blazes back from the Wither farm to set up a player detector outside of his giant skull, he hooks that up to a pair of lethal skeletons concealed nearby, and rigs up a zombie spawner to filter baby zombies and unleash them on unsuspecting visitors.
Right in it. Is it underground? Is it an underground?
Just stand right here. Stand right in this spot right here.
Oh no, dang it! No!
What?
Oh, jeez.
Oh,
Lord, jeez.
Shots officially fired. If you thought the NHO base wasn't a great place to visit now, Wells Knight might be in for a bigger shock when he gets home. Iskall and Rendog apparently aren't happy about his dealings with B-Dubs, and they hide random TNT blocks in the walls of Wells's castle. They aren't hooked up to anything just yet, but Wells had better think twice before decorating with buttons.
The hypocrisy makes me sick to the stomach.
That is
I'm gonna go
almost
puke
blinding.
in the corner.
Yeah. Making
This doesn't stop Wells from welcoming Biffa to the castle and convincing him that they should join forces against the NHO. They may yet be a force to be reckoned with, but the name probably needs some work.
The Opposition Hermit Order. The OHO.
I quite like that. I quite like that.
It'll do.
That's got a certain. It's got a certain ring to it.
Far more inclusive than original.
They aren't the only pair meeting to discuss tactics though, since B-Dubs meets up with a cleverly concealed Good Times with Scar and a much more visible False Symmetry this week.
That one.
Oh my goodness.
He's like nearby.
Please don't fight for stress.
After a fierce battle with False and some bonding over building tips, it looks like the server's PvP queen might be leaning towards the NHO side.
Yeah.
Oh!
You look fine.
Okay.
You look fine.
And if she wants a tour, she can look no further than Vintage Beef's base, where he's been setting up a map room with a wall chart of the entire NHO jungle. But in all this, he commits the most heinous crime of the entire week, destroying that sunken boat in the river. Jungle officially ruined. And that's just about it for this week's recap. My name is Pixel and our writer is ZloyXP. Zloy's full stack series ended with an epic finale, which you will find in the end cards along with my latest build tutorial. Don't forget to leave a like while you're still here, share this video with the Hermitcraft fans in your life, subscribe so you won't miss future episodes of the recap, and if you want to nerd out about the Hermits with us, just leave us a comment. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.